Libra, let me ask you something. If there were a knock at your door tonight, a quiet, deliberate knock, one that carried the weight of consequence, what would rise in your chest? Fear or relief? Pause for a breath. Would your heart brace for impact, or finally exhale, knowing the truth you've avoided is coming to set you free? Because this week, Libra, something long buried is shifting. Something hidden is rising back into the light, not to punish you, but to balance what has been uneven for far too long. There is a reason you found this message, not coincidence, not accident, but alignment. The universe is asking you to stand still for a moment, to feel the ground beneath you, and to notice the subtle trembling of a truth that refuses to stay in the dark any longer. And before we go any deeper, tell me in the comments, I'm ready for the truth. Say it to anchor this moment into your energy. Say it to let the universe know you're done hiding from yourself. Because what comes next, Libra, is the part where everything changes. Let me stay right here with you for a moment, Libra. Just you and me. No noise, no judgment. Just this quiet space where the truth can finally breathe. You felt it, didn't you? That shift in the air. That strange pressure that doesn't quite hurt, but doesn't let you rest either. Like the universe has been standing just outside your door, waiting for the right second to knock. And maybe that knock isn't loud. Maybe it isn't dramatic. Maybe it's just a subtle tightening in your chest. A thought that keeps circling back. A name you didn't want to revisit. A conversation you knew would return someday. But Libra, this isn't punishment, it's balance. The same balance you were born to restore in the world, now returning to restore something inside you. You see, karma doesn't always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it shows up as an envelope you weren't expecting, a message from someone who disappeared long ago, a moment where your past suddenly feels a little too close to your present. And other times, it comes as a quiet realization that the truth you've been avoiding hasn't been avoiding you. I can almost feel your heartbeat from here, that mix of curiosity and concern. Like you're asking yourself, what is coming back to find me, and why now? Because the universe knows you, Libra. It knows how gracefully you try to keep the peace, how often you choose silence over conflict, how many times you've held the weight of other people's chaos just to keep the world from spinning out of control. But this week, the scales begin to move in ways you can't stop. This time, the truth that rises isn't here to take something from you. It's here to return something that was always yours: clarity, dignity, and the beginning of real equilibrium. You might sense it before it arrives, a shift in your home, a strange memory coming back, a feeling that someone, somewhere, is finally ready to say what should have been said long ago. And if someone were to knock, literally or symbolically, I want you to breathe, slow, deep, measured, because the moment you feared may actually be the moment that frees you. You don't have to run. You don't have to brace yourself. Just allow the truth to enter at its own pace. You've carried enough on your shoulders to know that avoidance is heavier than honesty ever will be. Let this be the week where you stop expecting the worst and start allowing space for what's real. Not the illusions, not the misunderstandings, just the raw, unfiltered truth that has waited patiently for its turn to speak. And Libra, you don't have to face it alone. I'm right here with you, step by step, breath by breath. Light meeting shadow in its own sacred timing. Because what's coming isn't chaos, it's correction. It's the soft click of a cosmic lock opening. It's the moment the universe says, enough. Let's bring this back into balance. And as you stand on that threshold, feeling both the weight and the release, something inside you begins to rise too, which leads us, gently, into the next truth waiting to be seen. Not forced, not rushed, just revealed, like dawn breaking through a window that's been dark for far too long. Come a little closer, Libra. Let's sit with this next part gently, like opening a door you've walked past for years but never quite touched. Because something in your foundation, the place you call home, the roots you come from, is beginning to shift. And I want you to feel safe while we look at it, together. You've always been sensitive to the energy inside a house. You can feel when something is off, even when no one says a word. You can sense tension in the walls, unspoken stories sitting inside drawers, memories tucked behind family portraits. And lately, those quiet spaces haven't been so quiet anymore. They've been humming, almost trembling, like a truth trapped beneath the floorboards trying to rise. That's Pluto moving through your fourth house. It doesn't tap politely, it digs, it exhumes, it brings back what was buried, because it knows healing can't grow on ground you haven't touched with honesty. And I know that scares you, Libra. I know you've tried so hard to keep the peace in your home, to smooth over the cracks, to pretend the heaviness wasn't really there. But the universe is gently taking your hand now, guiding you back to the things you tucked away because you didn't want to break anything. Maybe it's a family secret that shaped more of you than you ever admitted. Maybe it's a financial knot tied long ago that someone hoped would loosen on its own. Maybe it's the quiet ache of a childhood wound you said you'd outgrown. Even though you still feel its echo sometimes, late at night, when the room is dark and the world is quiet. These energies aren't here to punish you. They're here to show you where you've been carrying weight that was never yours to hold. And you've carried a lot, haven't you? You held silence when you should have been able to speak. You held responsibility when someone else should have stepped up. You held family together even when you needed someone to hold you. But, Libra, this is the moment the scales start to rebalance. The truth rising in your home won't destroy you. It frees you. It frees the part of you that never had space to breathe. It frees the younger version of you who learned to stay quiet so others could stay comfortable. It frees the adult version of you who forgot that peace built on suppression isn't peace at all. And maybe, just maybe, this is why you've been feeling that strange stirring inside your chest. A soft pulling, a quiet awareness, a sense that something old has started moving beneath the surface of your life. You're not imagining it. Your inner foundation is rearranging itself, making room for truth, for light, for clarity, and you're strong enough to let it happen now. Let's keep walking through this together, slowly, because what rises next isn't meant to unsettle you, but to reveal a deeper story that has been waiting patiently for its turn to be seen. And as we turn the corner into that next layer, you may notice the air shift again, not heavier, but sharper, as if the universe is holding up a lantern, preparing to illuminate something or someone you never expected. You know, Libra, there's something I've always admired about you, the way you hold the world so carefully, the way you step softly through rooms full of people who carry storms in their chests, how you always seem to offer calm, even when you're the one quietly unraveling inside. But there's a truth you and I both know, even if you don't say it out loud. Peace kept through silence isn't peace, harmony held. By swallowing your own hurt isn't harmony. And the weight you've carried, the one you never wanted others to notice, it has begun to tip the scales. And this week, the universe doesn't want you breaking under that quiet pressure. It wants you free of it. Truth doesn't come to destroy Libra. It comes to untangle you from the shadows you've learned to live with. The shadows you pretended were small. The shadows you told yourself you could manage. Just a little longer. I can hear the way your heart tightens when conflict approaches. Even the possibility of conflict. You've spent years trying not to upset anyone. Trying not to choose a side. Trying not to disturb the delicate balance of relationships that meant more to you than your own comfort. But the cost of that, Libra, the cost has been pieces of yourself you shouldn't have had to give away. This is why the silence has been so loud lately. Why something inside you feels like it's stirring awake. Why your intuition keeps nudging you toward the things you've been trying to avoid. Not to punish you, not to scare you, but because the light is finally strong enough to reach you where you've been hiding. And I know what you fear most. You fear that speaking up, or facing the truth, will blow everything apart. That if you stop holding the balance together with your bare hands, everything will fall. But listen to me, just for a moment. Maybe things need to shift. Maybe the truth isn't here to break your life, but to rebuild it in a way that doesn't drain the deepest parts of you. Maybe this isn't destruction. Maybe it's release. There's a kind of freedom that only comes when you stop pretending you're okay with things that are slowly dimming your spirit. And there's a kind of power that rises in you when you allow the truth to have a voice again. Your voice. Let yourself imagine, just for a second, what it would feel like if the thing you fear wasn't the thing that breaks you, but the thing that finally lets you breathe. This isn't chaos arriving, it's clarity taking shape. Clarity that's been trying to reach you through tension, through intuition, through small signs you brushed aside because you didn't want to cause trouble. But you're not causing trouble, Libra. You're stepping into alignment. And alignment, real, authentic alignment, always begins with the courage to face what's been pulling you out of balance. So, let's keep moving, gently. Because just beyond this moment, there's something else beginning to rise. A presence, a situation, a truth wrapped in a form you may not expect, but one that's been waiting for the right moment to step into the light. And that moment is drawing closer than you think. Let me sit a little closer with you for this part, Libra, because what's rising now isn't just energy, it's a presence, a shape forming in the shadows, something or someone you felt around you but couldn't quite name. And I want you to hear this in the gentlest way possible. Every hidden truth has its own heartbeat, its own timing, its own way of walking back into the light. And lately, that heartbeat has been getting louder around you, slow at first, then steady, as if the universe has decided the waiting is over. This truth could come through a person, Libra, someone connected to your past, someone tied to your family, your home, or the threads of your shared finances, someone who has carried their own silence for far too long. And you may notice their presence before you hear their words, a name that resurfaces, a memory that warms and stings at the same time, a small sign that makes you stop in the middle of a normal day and wonder, why am I thinking about this now? Or maybe the truth is wrapped in paper, a contract, a document, a message you weren't expecting, but somehow always knew would return. You've been so careful, Libra, so afraid of tipping the scales that you avoided opening certain doors entirely. But life has a way of circling back to what needs to be acknowledged, and it could be something someone in your family has held close to their chest, something they didn't tell you because they thought they were protecting you, or protecting themselves. But secrets vibrate, they shift the air, they leave residue, and the closer the truth gets, the more your spirit feels that invisible pressure rising. I know how that affects you. You start replaying conversations. You start wondering what you missed. You start imagining outcomes before anything has even happened. Your heart scans every detail because you don't want to be blindsided. Not again. Not this time. But listen to me. Really listen. What's coming forward now isn't here to punish. It's here to clarify, to bring balance back to the places that felt uneven or confusing. And the only part of you that fears it is the part that remembers the pain of old disappointments. You don't need to brace yourself. You don't need to armor up. Just breathe, because whatever steps into the light next will reveal itself in a way that gives you more understanding, not less. More freedom, not more fear. And when this truth speaks, whether through someone's trembling confession, a surprising message, or a moment of raw honesty, I want you to listen with your heart, not your wounds. Your fear will want to answer first, but your intuition, your deeper knowing, already senses that this is a turning point, not a collapse. Let yourself rise into the clarity instead of shrinking from the discomfort. Let yourself hear what's being revealed, not what you're afraid it means. There's a difference, and that difference holds the key to your liberation. Stay right here with me, Libra, because as this truth begins to surface, another current is forming just behind it. A current that could pull you toward opportunities that look bright, almost irresistible. But not everything that shimmers is meant to be held. And that is where we're headed next. Take a breath with me, Libra, a slow one, because what we're stepping into now requires a clearer mind, a steadier heart, and the kind of quiet awareness that protects you before you even know why. You've felt it, haven't you? That strange shimmer around certain opportunities lately, things that look bright, polished, almost impossibly perfect. Offers that seem to fall into your lap at the exact moment you feel tired, or hopeful, or vulnerable. People showing up with promises that sound like they were pulled straight out of your dreams. But when Jupiter presses against Pluto like this, not every blessing is a blessing. Some are tests, some are illusions, and some are karmic traps wrapped in golden paper. I know how your heart works. You want to believe the best in people. You want to trust that someone offering you something generous is doing it from a place of honesty. You want to support loved ones when they ask for help, especially if they say the right words or carry the right tone or touch the softer parts of your spirit. But listen closely, Libra. There's a kind of energy this week that glitters on the outside and shifts strangely the moment you look beneath the surface. A contract, a deal, a request, a loan, a favor. It doesn't matter the form it takes. You'll feel it first in your body, not your mind. A tightening in the chest, a slight pull in your stomach, a quiet whisper that says something here doesn't sit right. And that whisper is the truth trying to protect you. This is not the week to sign anything out of pressure or guilt. Not the week to rush because someone else says the moment is urgent. Not the week to put your name, your money, your energy, or your responsibility on the line because you don't want to disappoint someone. If your spirit hesitates, honor that. You're not being dramatic, you're not being selfish, you're not being difficult. You're listening to the universe tapping your shoulder, reminding you that timing matters. And intention matters even more. The people who truly respect you will give you space to think. The opportunities that truly belong to you will still be there after you breathe. The doors that are meant for you won't slam shut because you pause to protect your peace. You're not missing a blessing by waiting. You're avoiding an entanglement disguised as one. And if someone tries to rush you, tries to charm you, tries to assure you there's nothing to worry about, I want you to remember this. Real alignment doesn't need persuasion. Only manipulation does. You're learning a powerful lesson right now, Libra. That discernment is not the enemy of generosity. That boundaries do not make your heart smaller. They make your future safer. Let yourself slow down long enough to feel what's real, to sense what's true, to see beyond the shimmer and into the substance. Because beneath the surface of these glittering offers, something is shifting, something is revealing itself, something is inviting you to look deeper, not to scare you, but to strengthen you. And as that deeper layer begins to open, there's another kind of clarity on its way to you, one that doesn't test your heart, but teaches it how to rise. Libra, can I tell you something gently, the way a friend would speak to you in a quiet kitchen at the end of a long day? You have one of the softest hearts I've ever known. You give even when you're tired. You stay even when you're breaking. You hold the balance for everyone else because you think that's what love is supposed to look like. But somewhere along the way, you forgot that balance includes you too. And I know you've carried this truth for a long time, that sometimes your peace isn't peace at all. It's a truce you signed with exhaustion. It's a silence you used to keep the room from shaking. It's the way you swallow your own needs so someone else doesn't feel uncomfortable. But love that costs you yourself isn't love. It's sacrifice dressed as loyalty. I want you to take a slow breath with me, because this week, you're being asked to reclaim the pieces of you that kept slipping through the cracks, not through confrontation, not through anger, but through truth, through choices that honor your heart as much as you honor everyone else's. You've reached a point where overgiving doesn't make you kind anymore. It makes you disappear. And the universe is whispering in that patient cosmic tone it uses when it knows you're finally ready to hear it. No more shrinking. No more apologizing for needing what you need. No more saying yes when your whole body is begging you to pause. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. That one dynamic that always leaves you drained. That one relationship where the scales always tilt against you. That one pattern where you become the savior, the fixer, the quiet stabilizer, even when no one has shown up for you in the same way. You're not weak for wanting harmony, you're human, but harmony doesn't require you to suffer quietly. Balance doesn't demand you to bleed in silence. Peace doesn't mean surrendering your own well-being. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to say no with a steady voice and a steady heart. Not because you want to hurt anyone, but because you're finally choosing not to hurt yourself. And here's the truth you've always sensed. People who truly love you will adjust. They will listen. They will rise to meet the version of you that no longer abandons herself. The ones who fall away were only held in place by your silence anyway. Let yourself feel how powerful that is. Not loud power, not aggressive power, but the quiet, grounded kind that comes from knowing who you are and what you will no longer carry. And as you take this step, as you reclaim your voice, your space, your worth, something subtle shifts in the atmosphere around you. A lightness, a clarity, a feeling that maybe you've been standing on the edge of a new kind of freedom without realizing it. Because once you draw the first true boundary, life begins to show you exactly what was weighing you down. And just beyond this moment, another wave of transformation is gathering, not to pressure you, but to clear the energy around you in ways you never imagined possible. Let's walk into that next truth together, the one that rises when you finally make room for yourself, Libra. Before we go any further, I want you to look around the space you're in right now, not with your eyes, but with that quiet inner sense you carry, the one that can feel a room long before you fully enter it, because something in your environment has been speaking to you, softly, persistently, like a whisper traveling through the walls, asking you to notice what you've been living with, breathing with, absorbing, day after day. Your home holds stories. It holds shadows too. Objects carry echoes of the versions of you that once needed them. Corners remember things your mind has forgotten. A drawer left untouched becomes a time capsule. And the air, the very air around you, absorbs every unspoken feeling. And lately, that air has felt heavy, hasn't it? Not painful, just weighed down, crowded with old chapters that no longer represent who you're becoming. That's why the universe is nudging you now, Libra. Not to clean your home the way people usually mean clean, but to clear your space the way a soul prepares for new truth. When you remove what no longer belongs, your spirit feels it first. Something unclenches inside you. Your breath deepens. Your body softens. It's not about aesthetics. It's about alignment. This week is not asking you to scrub or rearrange with urgency. It's asking for something gentler, more sacred, a ritual of release. Maybe it begins by opening a window, letting the air move after being still for too long. Maybe it's lifting an object, a letter, a piece of clothing, a gift, and realizing it belongs to a version of you that endured more than she should have. You don't need to force anything out. Just notice. Notice what your heart hesitates to touch. Notice what drains you when your eyes land on it. Notice what memories rise when your fingers brush across old things. These are the places where karmic residue hides. And when you finally choose to let something go, not out of anger, not out of rejection, but out of honesty, it's like pulling a thorn gently from a wound that learned to ache quietly. Lightness enters in its place. You might feel emotional, you might feel nostalgic, you might even feel silly for attaching so much energy to simple objects. But nothing about this is silly. Your home is your mirror. Your space is your sanctuary. And its energy is woven into the very fabric of your daily breath. Clearing space isn't about removing clutter. It's about making room for the version of you who has been trying to rise. And the moment you shift even one small thing, move a desk, open a window, donate what you've outgrown, the energy around you shifts with it, like dust lifting from a sunlit beam. You deserve a space that doesn't carry the weight of old timelines. You deserve rooms that speak to your future, not your pain. You deserve air that feels new again. And as this clearing unfolds, as the energy begins to soften and expand, you'll notice something else stirring beneath the surface. Not outside you, but inside you. A clarity, a calm, a sense that you're finally creating the conditions for truth to land gently, without chaos, without fear, without resistance. Because once the space around you is ready, the space within you opens too. And that opening leads us directly into what rises next, something quieter, deeper, and far more sacred than you expect. Libra. Now that the room around you feels lighter, now that the energy has shifted and your breath can finally land deeper in your chest, I want you to notice something softer rising inside you. A clarity, almost like the first beam of morning light slipping through a half-opened curtain. It isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, it's gentle, but undeniable, like truth returning home after being gone too long. You've spent so much of your life trying not to disturb anything, trying not to upset the balance, trying to keep peace even when it cost you pieces of yourself. But peace built on avoidance is fragile. It shakes the moment someone raises their voice, or hides something, or pulls away without explanation. And you've carried that fragility like it was your responsibility to protect. But listen to me. Really hear this. You were never meant to live your life tiptoeing around other people's storms. You were never meant to shrink so someone else could feel comfortable. You were never meant to absorb what wasn't yours just because you could. That part of your story is ending. Not because you suddenly grew harder, but because you grew wiser. There comes a moment in every Libra's life when silence becomes too heavy, when pretending becomes too painful, when carrying what isn't yours becomes too exhausting. And the universe steps in, placing truth right in front of you like a mirror you can no longer turn away from. That moment is now. And I know confronting truth makes your heart race. You wonder if speaking up will break something, or change something, or reveal something you don't feel ready to see. But what if I told you truth doesn't come to break you, but to unbind you? What if the fear isn't actually fear, but your spirit recognizing that you're about to step into a version of yourself that doesn't carry the old burdens anymore? Truth is not the enemy, it is the clearing, the cleansing, the balancing. You are not a victim in this story, you are the scale, the embodiment of justice, clarity, alignment. You were born with an instinct for fairness so profound that it lives in your bones. And this week, that instinct is awakening. When you speak honestly, from your heart, not your hurt, you realign the energy around you. When you stop hiding from what feels uncomfortable, you stop abandoning your own soul. When you open the door and let truth enter, you allow the light to touch the places inside you where shadows have overstayed their welcome. Hidden truth doesn't come to punish you, it comes to release you. From old fears, old assumptions, old stories you didn't even realize you were still carrying. And once that truth is spoken, once you face what you've been avoiding, something beautiful happens. Your spirit exhales, your heart loosens its grip. Your life begins to feel like it fits you again. Not like a costume, not like a role, but like home. Stay with that feeling, Libra. Let it open you, let it steady you, let it guide you forward. Because the moment you make peace with truth, you step into a chapter where nothing needs to be forced, nothing needs to be hidden, and nothing can hold power over you anymore. And that is where your liberation truly begins. Libra, if you're still here with me, still listening with that quiet, open heart of yours, I want you to take one last slow breath and let everything we talked about settle gently inside you. Because this message wasn't meant to warn you. It wasn't meant to shake you. It was meant to free you. You've carried so much, more than most people will ever understand. The silence, the responsibility, the fear of tipping the balance. And yet, here you are, still choosing truth, still choosing growth, still choosing yourself, even when it feels unfamiliar. I want you to know how powerful that is. What's coming toward you isn't punishment, it's alignment, it's clarity. It's the universe returning what was always yours, your voice, your balance, your peace. So, tonight before you go, I want to leave you with this. Trust your inner scale, trust your timing, trust the light rising inside you, even if it's rising slowly. And if this message touched something in you, if you felt even one moment of recognition, one moment of clarity, one moment where your spirit whispered, "Yes, that's me," then tell me in the comments, "I'm ready for the truth." Let it be your declaration. Let it anchor your next chapter. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Your journey isn't ending here, Libra. It's just beginning. There's another message already unfolding for you. A deeper one, a gentler one, a brighter one. Stay close, stay open, stay connected to this little corner of the world where your heart is seen, where your growth is witnessed, where your light is understood. Until the next chapter, Libra. Take care of your energy, take care of your truth, and take care of the beautiful balance inside you that the world so deeply needs. The journey continues.